అలాగే ఇంకా ఫీచర్స్ ఏంటి, క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ ఆఫ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఓరియంటెడ్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్స్ ఏంటి, డేటా అబ్స్ట్రాక్షన్, డేటా ఎన్క్యాప్సులేషన్, అలాగే డేటా హైడింగ్, ఇన్హెరిటెన్స్, పాలిమార్ఫిజం, ఇలా డిఫరెంట్ ఫీచర్స్ని డిస్కస్ చేసాం. నెక్స్ట్ దాంతోపాటు జావా బజ్వర్డ్స్ని డిస్కస్ చేసాం. సో జావా బజ్వర్డ్స్ని మనం ఫీచర్స్ ఆఫ్ జావా అంటాం. సో జావా ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ కున్న స్పెషల్ ఫీచర్స్ ఏంటి, దాన్నే మనం బజ్వర్డ్స్ అంటాం. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద main features of Java. First one, platform independent. So Java is a platform independent programming language. That means you can compile the program in one system and you can run that program in any other system. So why? Because after compilation we are getting the object class file. That means while running the program we need the class file, not the Java file. So for executing any Java program we need a class file, not a Java file. We don't need any .java file. We need only .class file. To run any Java program, we need only .class file. So uh, uh, this is the reason for the Java language is termed as platform independent. So you can write the program in one system and you can run the system in any other system independent of the OS or architecture. Then Java is an object-oriented programming language. Java is purely object-oriented programming language. That means Java follows object-oriented principles. Class, object, inheritance, polymorphism, data hiding, all these features will be followed by the Java language. Next, multi-threading. So multi-threading means running more than one method at a time. So we have a program. In that program, we have 2-3 methods, more than one method. All the methods run parallelly by the processor. So in olden days, we have only the single processor systems, but nowadays that processor is divided into the cores, processing units, core 1, core 2, core 3. That means uh, execution units. So if you have 4 execution units means at a time we can run the 4 modules, 4 methods. So that is supported by the Java language. C language, C++, these languages don't support the multi-threaded programming. So Java inbuilt support the multi-threading concepts. Next, Java is an architectural neutral. That means if you write the program in 32-bit system or 64-bit system or any uh, CISC processor, CISC architecture systems or RISC architecture instruction set, if you follow any type of architecture, so Java supports all the type of architectures. There is no constraint that Java will be run on these type of systems only. There is no requirements for Java. So if you have JDK, you can run the program in any system. Next feature is rich standard library support. That means so Java has so many packages and so many libraries. We can automatically use the vast number of Java packages as well as libraries. So predefined classes or predefined methods we can use. So these are the main features of Java. So we can term this as Java buzzwords. So previously we have discussed so Java buzzwords. So these are the Java buzzwords. Also applet programming. Java supports applets. So whereas C++ or C doesn't support the applet programming. So applet programming means uh, uh, internet programming. That means if you write a program for creation of one web page, so in that web page we have some runtime entities. In the runtime we'll get some errors or some warnings. So for that we need some dialog boxes. So for that we can use the applets. So Java supports the web programming, web applications also. Likewise, we have Java is a dynamic language. That means we can create the new classes, we can create our own packages, or we can extend our program to the next level. So that is dynamic. So Java is also a distributed programming language. That means distributed systems means we can divide the work into different independent systems. Suppose we have 4 modules. That 4 modules will be divided into the 4 systems. System 1, module 1, system 2, module 2, system 3, module 3, system 4, module 4. So entire task is divided into the subparts, subunits. All these subunits are merged together and we get the output. So the main advantage of distributed system is time, time and burden, um, CPU utilization. So these are the main advantages of distributed systems. That means work is divided here. So work burden is not kept on a single machine. So work is equally distributed to the all the remaining systems in the cluster. So that is distributed systems. These are all the main features of Java language, advantages of Java language, or we can name it as Java buzzwords. Then differences and similarities between the C language and C++ and Java programming. What are the common features or extra features added in the Java programming? So first one, Java is purely object-oriented language, whereas C++ is not purely object-oriented programming language. So C++ is a combination of procedural-oriented programming language as well as object-oriented programming language. But Java is purely object-oriented programming language. Next, Java has a provision of packing packages into packages. This feature is not available in C++. So C++ has not a concept of packages, but Java has a concept of packages. We can include all the classes and all the methods, all the libraries in the packages. So we can utilize these packages in Java. So multi-threaded programming is inbuilt in Java. So Java has an inbuilt feature to support the threads. That means multi-threaded programming. Whereas in C and C++, we don't have the concept of multi-threading. So if you want to use the multi-threaded programming, we have to include the other architectures, other methods. That is message passing interface, MPI, OpenMP. Like that, we have to use the some architectural level languages. Then there is no concept of pointers in Java. But whereas in C and C++, we have the concept of pointers. But in Java, we don't have the concept of pointers. Java supports applets, but C++ doesn't support applets. Java does not support multiple inheritance of classes, whereas C++ has different types of inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. Likewise, we have so many types of inheritances, but Java doesn't support multiple inheritance. That means we have only single superclass, single superclass. So superclass is only single class. Subclasses we have so many subclasses, but single has must be one. We have only one superclass in the Java programming language. So that we can name it as multiple inheritance. Java does not support multiple inheritance. That means multiple superclasses. So we don't have multiple superclasses in Java. So in C++, we have the multiple superclasses. But in Java, we don't have the multiple superclasses. We have only single superclass. Next, in Java, that can be only one superclass. But in C++, we have multiple superclasses. So this is the basic introduction to Java. So if you want to learn Java, these are the basic things you should know. So what is object-oriented programming? What is the limitations of procedural-oriented programming? So why you are choosing the object-oriented programming? And then we have seen the software engineering concepts like coupling, cohesion, and reusability. So what do you mean by cohesion? How the cohesion will be there? And what do you mean by coupling? What is the reusability? What is the inheritance, encapsulation? All these things we have seen, we have discussed. Also we have seen the uh, Java installation. So do you have any doubts regarding the Java installation? Still, anyone have any doubt in installing the Java language, Java JDK files, and setting the path? Have you installed in your systems, all of you? Can you hear me? ఇంకేమైనా జావా ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయటంలో ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా? Do you have any doubts in Java installation and class path setting? So what happens if existing path is not deleted? So first we have to check whether that path is regarding the Java program or Python program or any other purpose. మీరు ఆల్రెడీ పాత్ అనే వేరియబుల్‌తో ఆల్రెడీ ఒక వేరియబుల్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఉంటే, ఆ వేరియబుల్ అడ్రెస్ ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయండి. అది జావాకి సంబంధించిన అడ్రెస్సా? లేదా వేరే ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ లాంగ్వేజ్‌కి సంబంధించిన అడ్రెస్సా? సో, వేరే ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ లాంగ్వేజెస్‌కి సంబంధించిందయితే మనకేమీ కాదు. కాకపోతే ఇక్కడ సేమ్ నేమ్‌తో ఇవ్వకూడదు. పాత్ అని ఇస్తున్నాం గదా! ఆల్రెడీ పాత్ అనే నేమ్‌తో ఇంకో వేరియబుల్ ఉందంటే సేమ్ డూప్లికేషన్ వస్తది. మనం ఇచ్చేదే పాత్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవడానికి. సో, ఇక్కడే 2 పాత్స్ ఉంటే ఏ పాత్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలో కన్‌ఫ్యూజన్ అవుతుంది ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్‌కి. సో, అందుకని జెప్పి ఆల్రెడీ ఉన్నది డిలీట్ చేస్తాం. లేదా వేరేది కూడా కావాలనుకుంటే డాట్ సెమికోలన్ ఇచ్చి వేరే అడ్రెస్ కూడా కాపీ చేస్తాం దాంతో. ఒకే నేమ్ కింద 2 అడ్రెస్‌లు ఇవ్వచ్చు. అలా అయినా చేయొచ్చు. సో, అది పాత్ డిలీట్ చేయకపోతే ఏమైద్దంటానికి. So next one. So next one. ప్రోగ్రామ్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ జావా. ఇక్కడ నుంచి మనకి జావా సిలబస్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఇప్పటిదాకా చెప్పింది కూడా బేసిక్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ జావా. సో జావాని మనకి జావా ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ గురించి తెలియాలంటే ముందుగా ఇప్పటిదాకా చెప్పిన ఫీచర్స్ అన్నీ తెలియాలి. సో నెక్స్ట్ మనకి ఇచ్చిన R19 రెగ్యులేషన్ ప్రకారం సో సిలబస్ ఇక్కడ నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ జావా. ఫస్ట్ వన్. సో నెక్స్ట్ వన్ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఓరియంటేషన్. సో జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అని చెప్తున్నాం. జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ లో 3 టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ ఉంటాయి. సో వీ హావ్ 3 టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్స్. ఫస్ట్ వన్ స్టాండ్ అలోన్ అప్లికేషన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్, యాప్లెట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అండ్ సర్వ్లెట్స్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్. సో బేసిక్‌గా వీ హావ్ టు నో which program we are writing for. What is the purpose of writing the Java program? So whether it is a standalone application or applet application or any Java servlet application. So we can write the programs by using Java to achieve the applet programming as well as Java servlet programming. So basically, we will use the standalone application programs. That means addition of two numbers, calculation, creating the calculator. Like with small programs, we can call it as standalone application programs. So to achieve one purpose, we can write the Java program. That is standalone application. Second one, applet programs. Applet program is web applications. So web pages. While creating a web pages, we need to create some dialog boxes at the runtime, so that conditions or that warnings will be given by using the Java applet programming. Next one, Java servlets. So Java servlets are termed as Java server-side programming. So server-side programming means, so we'll follow the client server architectures. In the client server architecture, client requests the resources, server accept the resources and allocate the resources. So request and response will be there in between the clients and server. So in the server side, we can write the programs. We can allocate the resources for the client. So that programs will be run or created by using the Java servlets. So Java servlets will be termed as server side programming. So for providing the web services, we can use the Java servlets. So we have three types of Java programs. First one, standalone Java applications programs, applet programs, Java applet programs, and Java servlets. So in the syllabus, we can come across standalone applications only. Applet programming and Java servlets will be given under advanced Java programming. So basically, in this semester, we are going to deal with the standalone applications, standalone Java programs. So simple Java programs to achieve a task. So that will be discussed in the coming sessions. So next one, importing packages and classes. So in Java, previously we have said that in Java there is a feature called packages. So all the predefined packages, classes, methods, everything will be packed under name package. So if you want to use the predefined methods or classes, we have to import the packages. We have to include the package names in the program. So like in C or C++, we'll include the hash include stdio.h. So in that header file, the definition of standard input outputs are defined. That means hash include stdio.h. That means that is an header file. So the definitions of the printf and scanf will be there in the header files. Likewise in Java, we can name it as packages. We have to import the packages. In C language, we have included the header files. Here we have to import the packages. So we have so many packages. So for each purpose or for each task, we have so many packages for achieving the tasks. We have so many libraries. Java has so many, rich number of libraries. That means we have so many predefined classes. So if you want to use it, we can use it. By importing the packages, we can use the predefined programs. So this is the syntax for importing the packages. So here keyword is import. At the starting of the program, we have to include the packages. Import java.util. Here package name is util. So util is the package name. Dot star asterisk. Dot star asterisk. So asterisk means, so import the all the features of util package, all the classes of util, all the methods of util, all the interfaces of util. So full package will be installed, full package will be imported in that program. So in place of star, we can use the package. If you know the package name, if you know the class name, you can add the class name here. Instead of star, we can give the class name. So here for each purpose, we have different packages. So if you want to include all the concepts, all the classes of a package, we can include as asterisk, dot asterisk. So each class and package is differentiated with the period, dot operator. So dot is an operator. Import java dot util dot star. Star means asterisk, semicolon. So it is ended with the semicolon. So this is the syntax for importing an package. So the package imports will be done at the starting of the program. Like in the C, we will include in the beginning of the program, hash include stdio.h. Likewise, if you want to import any packages, that will be given at the starting of the Java program. So writing these simple Java programs. So this is the basic Java program. So check it once. So in Java program, so each Java program starts with the class, main class. Here we have the class. That means so can you see my notepad? సో నోట్ ప్యాడ్ షేర్ అయిందా? ఓకే. సో ఇక్కడ ప్రీవియస్ క్లాస్‌లో చెప్పాను. జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ రాయాలంటే ముందు ఒక ఎడిటర్ కావాలి అని చెప్పాం. ఒక ఐడీఈ కావాలి అని చెప్పాం. సో ఇక్కడ మనం యూజ్ చేస్తున్న ఎడిటర్ నోట్‌ప్యాడ్ ప్లస్ ప్లస్. సో ఇక్కడ జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్ అనేది ఎలా రాస్తున్నామో ఒకసారి చూడండి. సో అసలు ఫస్ట్ జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్‌కి ఆ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఏంటి, ఎలా ఉంటది అనేది. సో ఎవ్రీ జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్ స్టార్ట్స్ విత్ ద క్లాస్. సో ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ బి ఎన్‌క్యాప్సులేటెడ్ వితిన్ ద క్లాస్. సో వ్రాపింగ్ అప్ ఆఫ్ డేటా అంటున్నాం కదా! సో అంటే ఏంటంటే ప్రతిదీ కూడా ఏది డిఫైన్ చేసినా, ఏం చేసినా సరే క్లాస్‌కి సంబంధించే ఉండాలి. క్లాస్ లోపలే ఉండాలి. ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ ద క్లాసెసే ఉండాలి. సో ప్రతి జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్‌కి ఒక మెయిన్ క్లాస్ ఉంటది. సో ఫస్ట్ ఏదైనా సరే ఆ క్లాస్‌లో డిఫైన్ చేసుకోవాలి. మెయిన్ క్లాస్‌లో డిఫైన్ చేసుకోవాలి. సో ఎలా డిఫైన్ చేసుకుంటామంటే క్లాస్ స్పేస్, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ హియర్ ఐ యామ్ గివింగ్ యాస్ స్టూడెంట్. Class student. The font is visible to you? Can you view the font?
Yes, sir.
Okay then. So this is the syntax for Java. So the basic Java program syntax is this one. We have to create the class. Here class name is student. So class is a keyword. Java predefined keyword class. Class name is student. Here starting letter is capital. Here S is capital. So we have to use the camel case here. That means every class name should start with the capital letter. Every class name should start with the capital letter. So this should be the file name of our program. Program name and class name, main class name should be same. We have to use the same name for main class as well as file name. So everything should be written within the class only. If you want to write any logic or any program, that should be written here. So every Java program will have one main class as well as one main method. So in C language, the program starts with the main. That means main method. So here also we have main. Main method, braces open, braces close. In Java also we have same syntax. So here we will create then variables, objects, everything will be created within the main class. Methods, everything will be there in the main class. So any print statements. So Java supports print welcome to Java. Print welcome to Java. So this is the general syntax of Java, but we are each language has its own syntax. So this is the basic idea for writing the Java program. But we have to consider some syntax here. So that is, we have to declare the main as public. That means public. We have to give the return type of main as void. Public void main. Next, we have to give next we have to pass the arguments. We have to pass the arguments. So this is the basic syntax. So then while while coming to the syntaxes of Java, here the syntax will be like this. We are passing an parameter called arguments, args, array of arguments. We are passing an array of arguments. That means here we have a main method and we are passing some arguments called args. We are passing some array of strings. That means array of arguments. That's why we are giving an array symbol of type. Here we have to give the type string, string, string arguments. We have to pass the array of strings. We are passing the array of strings. That means names we are passing. We are giving the type of that array, that is string. String type elements we are passing through the function main. The function has no return value. The function doesn't return any type. That is void is return type. Then we are giving the access specifier. We are giving the access permission to the rest of the program. We are declaring this as public. That means everyone can access this method. In the program, we have so many classes, so many methods. The program starts with the main. That means the main method should be accessed by the all the remaining methods or remaining classes. That's why we are giving it as public. Then here we will give another keyword called static. Static. That means Static is an keyword, a Java keyword. Here we are declaring this method as static. That means without creating of objects, we can access this method. That means if you want to access any method or any class, we have to uh, create an object. So everything will be possible by using the objects. That means, for example, let us take, let us take a class. Here in the example, we have taken the class name as student. Class name as student. Here class name is student. So we are giving the class name as student. So class consists of three things. Each and every class consists of three things. First one, class name. First one, class name. First one, class name. Next one, attributes or variables. Next one, methods. So this is the basic things to be considered while writing the program. So every Java program has one class. So each class has its name. Class space class name student. Each class has its name, and each class will have some variables. Each class will have some variables. So each class have some methods, some functions to implement. So the class is a combination of all these things. So the class is a combination of variables as well as methods. So if you want to access any method or any variable, if you want to access any method or any variable, so the access can be done through the object only. That means if you want to access these attributes or these methods, this can be done through object only. Through the object only, we can access the methods as well as attributes. So these we will call as instant classes or instance variables or instant methods. So simply here we have a class. The class consists of variables as well as methods. So each variable can be accessed through the object only. Each method can be accessed through the object only. So without object, we can't access the variables as well as methods. If you want to access any variable or any method, first we have to create one object. Through that object only, we can access the variables as well as method. This is the thumb rule for Java. So entire Java is this is the thumb rule. If you want to access any method or any variable, first we have to create the object of this class student. After creation of this object, we can access the variables as well as methods. So this is the basic thing in Java. Here we are giving the keyword as static. That means here we are creating the main method. So that main method has so that main method has some other methods or other classes. So if you want to access this main method, first we have to create an object. First we have to create an object. But in the program execution starts with the main. That means the operating system has to access the program execution starts with the main. So if you want to access the main means we have to create an object. So before executing the program itself, we have to create one object. So that is practically not possible. So that's why without creating an object, we can access the methods or classes. So that facility is done through the keyword static. If you declare any method or any class as static means, so we can, without creation of objects, we can access that method. So that is the principle for using the static keyword. So the purpose of using the static keyword here is, without creation of object, we can access the methods. So the methods or attributes can be accessed through the objects only. If you have an object of type class student, then only we can access the methods or variables. So if you don't have any object means, we are not able to access the variables and methods. But while you, if you use the keyword static, then we can automatically access the methods or variables. Without creation of objects also, we can access the methods. That facility is done through the keyword static. That's why we have given a main method as static. So we have given the access permission to the public static void main. This main function, main method doesn't return any value. That's why the return type is given as void. So this may be int, float, char, anything. But in default, the main method cannot return any value. That's why we are giving the void. So here we are passing the arguments of type string. Here S is capital. Here S is capital. String arguments. Here we are passing the arguments, array of arguments. That's why we are giving the array symbol, array of arguments. Argument 1, argument 2, argument 3. So we are passing the array of arguments of type string. So that's why we are giving the public static void main. So braces open, braces close. So this is the basic structure of a Java program. So this is the basic structure of a Java program. Every Java program consists of all these steps, all these things, public static void main. Every Java program consists of all these things. But in the method main, so we have print statement. So in the Java, so directly if you give print means that won't print. So we have an syntax. That means here print is a method. So Java provides the two types of functions to print a statement. Print, println. That means, so Java provides two types of print functions. First one is print, second one is println. Print. Second one is println. So these two are the methods. Print is a method, println is a method. So Java provides two methods to print the statement in the runtime. That is print or println. So if we are going to access this print method, that means if you want to access any method or any variable, so we can access through the, how do you access an variable or a method? 37. $64. Absent. So how do you access the method or a variable in a Java program? 5 minutes.
By using public
ఇప్పటిదాకా చెప్పింది అదే. మీరు జావాలో ఒక క్లాస్‌లో ఒక క్లాస్ క్రియేట్ చేశారంటే ఆ క్లాస్‌కి వేరియబుల్స్ ఉంటాయి, మెథడ్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఆ వేరియబుల్స్ కానీ, మెథడ్స్ కానీ యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవాలంటే ఖచ్చితంగా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవాలి. ఆ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ద్వారానే ఆ మెథడ్స్‌ని గాని, ఆ వేరియబుల్స్ గాని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకుంటారు. సో, ఇక్కడ ప్రింట్ అనేది మెథడ్. ఈ మెథడ్‌ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవాలంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కావాలి. సో, ఆ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఏంటంటే ఔట్. ఔట్ అనేది ఆబ్జెక్ట్. సో, ఇక్కడ డాట్ ఆపరేటర్‌ని యూజ్ చేస్తాం. ఆబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్ ఔట్. ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్‌కి సంబంధించిన క్లాస్ సిస్టమ్. సిస్టమ్ డాట్ ఔట్ డాట్ ప్రింట్ ఆర్ ప్రింట్ఎల్ఎన్. సో, ఇది బేసిక్ జావా ప్రోగ్రామ్. System.out.println. If you want to print any statement, we have to write the class name. Here system is the class, out is an object, print is the method. So if you want to print anything, we have to follow this thing. Syntax. Class student public static void main string argument system.out.print or println. మెథడ్ క్లోజ్ చేసాం, క్లాస్ క్లోజ్ చేసాం. ఇప్పుడు ప్రోగ్రామ్ టైపింగ్ అయిపోయింది. నెక్స్ట్ ఇప్పుడు సేవ్ చేయాలి. సేవ్. డెస్క్‌టాప్‌లో ఇక్కడ క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఏమి ఇచ్చాం? స్టూడెంట్ అని ఇచ్చాం. ఇక్కడ ఫైల్ నేమ్ కూడా స్టూడెంట్ అనే ఇవ్వాలి. స్టూడెంట్ ఎక్స్‌టెన్షన్ జావా ఇవ్వాలి. student.java డెస్క్‌టాప్ సేవ్ చేయండి. student.java. సో, ఇక్కడ కీవర్డ్స్ అన్నీ హైలైట్ అయినాయి చూడండి సేవ్ చేయంగానే. క్లాస్ స్టూడెంట్, క్లాస్ నేమ్ స్టూడెంట్, ఇక్కడ పబ్లిక్ స్టాటిక్ వాయిడ్ ఇవన్నీ కూడా కీవర్డ్స్. సో, దీని అవుట్‌పుట్ చూద్దాం ఇప్పుడు. అవుట్‌పుట్ చూడాలంటే కమాండ్ ప్రాంప్ట్. అవుట్‌పుట్ చూడాలంటే కమాండ్ ప్రాంప్ట్‌లో షేర్ కంపైలేషన్‌కి జావాసి ప్రోగ్రామ్ నేమ్ student.java ఎంటర్. ఫైల్ నాట్ ఫౌండ్. జావాసి student.java stud. File not found. Let us check whether this system has Javac. Yes. So let us check the program name and file name. student. సో ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఇలా టైప్ చేస్తాం. అలాగే రన్ చేయడానికి, కంపైల్ చేయడానికి ఇక్కడ యూజ్ చేస్తాం. సో నా సిస్టంలో జావా పాత్కి సంబంధించిన ఎర్రర్స్ ఉన్నాయి. సో అందుకని చెప్పి ప్రోగ్రామ్లో ఎర్రర్స్ వస్తున్నాయి. సో ప్రొసీజర్ ఇది. సో నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్కి నా సిస్టంలో కూడా జావా ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి ప్రోగ్రామ్ రన్నింగ్ అనేది చూపిస్తాను. అర్థమైందా? సో జావా బేసిక్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అర్థమైందా? ఇది ప్రోగ్రామ్. సో రేపు మళ్ళీ ఇంకొకసారి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను ఇది. ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా? సో ఓకే. సో నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్లో కంటిన్యూ చేద్దాం. థ్యాంక్ యూ.